Welcome back to the channel. It's the Bald Bearded Bicyclist, and we've got the Grand Island Sunday Series BBC race. It's an A-B race. This is the A's, and we're picking up a little bit into this race. The first lap, or first bit of it was spicy. Drew brought up the speed. There were a lot of little attacks, and it was just it was fast. So, kind of getting into it a little bit here, and you could see we've got a ton of teammates in this one, and Scicluna had about 3 guys, but we were, the beginning of the race, kind of holding Steve here, who's in the Red Sox. He was kind of trapped and just blocked in. We were just trying to keep an eye on him, and Suda's on the front, so we were just letting Suda do work, and kind of had Steve, everybody was watching. You could see Drew gave me a little signal there, and he was telling me to drop the wheel, and I started to do that, and Honcho kind of yelled out, no, we don't want to do that, which it makes a ton of sense. So when we have them so outnumbered, even though Drew can get away with Steve, and Drew's great in a breakaway, we want to outnumber in any breakaway, so it doesn't make sense to let the two of them go 50-50. Ideally, we would take the top 3 spots and make sure that there's no Scicluna guys up there. So that was smart of him to realize that that's not what we want to do, and kind of yelled at us for it. So then we got a little bit further on, Suda attacks hard, and I'm gonna look to Steve to finish closing this, so that's why I kind of slowed down there. I want him to do as much work as possible. Unfortunately, I slowed down too much and I missed Honcho's wheel, so I end up doing a lot of work here because they picked it up again, so I'm definitely hurting myself. It was, at the cost of making sure Steve got hurt, but definitely hurt myself too much. And then you can see Honcho kind of attacked through. I don't really want to do that because I'm hurting from that, but Rich goes as well, and I actually take the opportunity to pull up to the front and then block the Scicluna guys. You can actually see I hit brakes. I kind of got in between Suda and got Drew on the other side there, so we kind of blocked him in, and I turned to Drew and I said, well, there's all the points. We got 3 people up there. And we got Sam, and this was smart of him. He's a solo rider, and we got these 2 big teams kind of duking it out. So obviously if he can get into the break, Project is probably not going to make him do a ton of work because they want to stay away. But if he can hang and contribute a little bit, that's really the best option for a solo rider. So that was smart, but maybe didn't quite snap hard enough to get away there because everybody's going to want to chase him down as well. I apologize for the camera. It's completely blown out. I didn't put the right ND filter. If you watched my last video, it was beautiful, and I gave you a heads up that this one was going to be a little bit crap. Also, just warning, I missed the final bit of this race, but I'll try to explain what happened the best I can when it gets to that. Drew had a nice little attack on the right side here when there was a bit of a lull, and we're not supposed to attack through this upcoming chicane, but he had kind of already got his attack in and just strung it out, so that was, I think, completely fine. There's a big pothole on the right that you can see Steve is pointing out here, so I swing wide, try to miss that big old thing. And yeah, we all kind of come back together here, and this is probably the worst part of it because the road is brighter here, so there's a lot of reflection, and so it just looks really crappy. But you can actually see here, Honcho had gotten off the front, and we got a bunch of people chasing. You got Sam kind of doing some work there. It looks like Todd, and I don't know if Suda might be up there as well. Steve is rotating. So we're all just kind of like marking Scicluna guys because we have so many teammates. And you could see Drew and Rich went, but Steve also followed them. So you got Honcho going and Sam. So I was gonna let Sam try to do the work here because I'm fine with Honcho making that group and us not. So I kind of powered down. I let Sam, I know, like, I'm not going to close this. If you want to do it, I'm going to jump on your wheel. But then I see Todd go. And so I do go because I want to make sure I mark these guys. And for every one of them, we should have a couple of project guys. So then this group's pretty much brought back together. This was a fun race. There was a lot of attacks, and if you've seen the Fireball series, this is the full course, and we'll finish with 5 laps, really 5.5 laps of that little crit course, and this is a full lap of the island plus those 5 laps. So it's one of our team's favorite, as it's one of the few flat courses for the Sunday series. So you can see Honcho still kind of got a gap, and I don't know if whoever was at the front just kind of kept letting them roll off. But it looks like Steve's putting in an attack on the right side there. Drew's gonna ramp up to try to get on his wheel, and then Rich kind of let them go. Everybody's looking around, and I'm going to take that opportunity to make sure that Todd is not going to get away here, so I pick things up. But Rich is also on his wheel as well. But when Todd slots over, that kind of gives Rich an opportunity to put in. It looks like he did a little bit of an effort, and then with Todd back on his wheel, backed off. But the speed was high, and Larry was able to attack from behind with that speed to get a really nice bridge attempt, and not bring anyone with him. So that was really smart. You got Suda, and Chelsea was obviously keeping an eye on him. She follows him. Rich lets him go. So again, we just got 2 more of our teammates up there for only 1 Scicluna, and we're keeping the odds in our favor there. So a little bit further up, Rich has given me signals. We're in that back group, and he's like, all right, we're going to try to go. So we snap this hard. I slingshot over him, and hoping he's able to grab onto my wheel. Unfortunately, I didn't have the back hammer here because I rode out to this race, so I needed my toolkit. But the next Fireball race, following this one, I actually had front and rear, so that'll be fun. Keep an eye out, subscribe, so you'll be able to see that. So we're bridging this nicely. I'm not sure if everybody stayed with us. I think it was just Rich and I made it across originally, but this group obviously slowing down dramatically because Honcho is again off the front, and then we got Suda attacking, and I'm going to try to slot in here behind Steve. And I remember I was pretty winded from that bridge attempt with Rich, and I was not particularly excited that they picked up the intensity again right as I was starting to get settled. But we're gonna fall in here and keep I know Honcho just being off the front is keeping the pressure on Scicluna to keep the speed up here, which is actually helping that back group not catch us, which is great. Skipping ahead a little bit further, you can see looks like Suda just wanted to close the rest of that gap to Honcho. He slides over, and then right as we catch Honcho, Drew and Larry attack hard through. Steve's on their wheel, so we want to go to Chelsea. Honcho has been doing a lot of work on the front, so he's tired. So I'm trying to get into Chelsea's draft here. And I was feeling good now, and I was like, oh yeah, oh no, I can help her close this. And I get in front, and I'm like, yeah, I can close that. That's not too big of a gap. We're moving. And then I think right around here, I was like, oh, I'm not feeling so great. And then you can watch my power. It's they're going, so it's like I didn't realize they were still going really hard. All of a sudden, my power starts dropping. I'm flicking hard. But luckily, Chelsea and Dennis were there. But I went a little too long on front and didn't save enough, didn't bring the power up quick enough as I was falling back. Rookie mistake. And I got myself. I should have trusted that they were on my wheel and were going to pull through, so I should have flicked them sooner, saved a little bit, and then jumped on the wheel, because I'm still hurting here. And luckily things slowed down a little bit and I was able to latch back on. So now we've got I'm the last one in this group, so we've got Honcho, Chelsea, Larry, Drew is off the front, myself, and then Steve's in the middle. So right now I'm like, oh dang, we've got this. This is ideal scenario. And I'm hoping that with Drew off the front, Steve is gonna maybe take the front of this group to keep the speed high. It's gonna tire him out, and it's gonna keep the group behind from catching us. And we're just I'm letting this play out with Drew, and then all of a sudden he takes the wrong turn. We're all yelling. I don't know if you heard Chelsea. She goes, "You blew it," which I think was the perfect response. But what was super nice is even Steve was yelling at Drew that he took the wrong turn. He knows Grand Island, and he was good sport and trying to get him to turn around. But at the same time, he's going to hurt Drew by picking up the speed and make it so that it's not easy for him to just take a U-turn and jump on the back of us. So I think that was very sportsmanlike, but also he took advantage like he should. That was a good way to do it. So this is kind of a good and a bad thing, because he's picking up this pace, which is going to make it harder for Drew, but the group behind was starting to catch. So bringing up the pace here helps that a little bit, and it's making Steve do work. So it's not the worst thing in the world, but we speed drops a tiny bit and Chelsea goes for it, and that was a perfect spot. And honestly, I probably should have gone with her to help her, because Steve was on the front and he was just doing work. I don't think he would have been able to jump on my wheel, and if he did try to, he would have just dragged the other two teammates. So that was maybe a missed opportunity. But we are on the circuit now, and the group behind caught us really just before the circuit, and Drew attacks through again. Really smart of him as things sit up, and pace picks up. So Drew is trying to bridge to Chelsea there. You can see her off in the distance, and then you can see Suda tried to get on Drew's wheel, but he was coming with speed, so that was tough. And Suda kind of sits up there. Steve's working hard to try to get back up and help Suda. And we're hanging out back here trying to save energy and see what happens. So this is really the half lap of the little circuit course. Or if I should be thinking about attacking through here or not, because obviously Suda's tired, Steve's tired. I should have thought more about that. I mean, I wasn't feeling great, but I have to be better at realizing if I'm not feeling great, but these guys have been doing way more work than me, it's probably still a really good idea to attack. But instead, we just kind of rotate and mark guys. I think we were doing a really, really good job of rotating and making sure that every Scicluna racer was covered. So we got Hancho with a really nice attack there. Again, he's just smarter in that, like, he does know that they've been doing work, and Steve, to jump on his wheel from the front after he's been doing work would have been really hard. John tries to get to the front to help out, and he has, told me after it's the sharp, really high efforts that hurt him. He can, push, threshold all day, but he hasn't been doing the higher intensity. So, if he can slowly roll up and bring that power and get to the front, he'll rather do that. So that's what he's trying to do here. And the gap is not large. I mean, they have brought some time back, but obviously we're kind of disrupting, and I'm not going to help them close that. Again, I maybe should have been looking for opportunities to bridge where they couldn't jump on our wheel. But they've got other people too, so again, without that back camera, you can't see. Todd is back there, so they've got a third teammate. But we also have, Rich and Greg are marking people in the back. Sam is still in this group. He's a solo rider. So there's still people to watch, and you can see all of a sudden that gap is much larger. We don't see them. So, Suda had kind of sat up there, and Steve rolled to the front. Here's Todd. And I think we've still got Rich and Greg behind. So I want to make sure that Todd is marked, so I jump around Suda, and I think one of the other guys, Rich or Greg, is able to jump on Suda's wheel. So just really nice rotations. And often these after corners is an opportunity where people will attack if the front doesn't bring up the speed kind of after that surge. Somebody might be carrying their speed, and so they're going to get to the front. So I'm just following Todd. He's going to swing off. I'm just going to stay on him. I don't see those three anymore. So again, we've got Chelsea, Hancho, and Drew all off the front, and we're keeping a close eye on all these guys. I got Suda on my right here. He's telling me to attack and bring him back, and I'm like, what are you talking about? I got 3 people up there for the entire podium, so I don't want to do work to disrupt that right now. We're only on we will be starting the second circuit lap right here, and that lap counter is just slightly delayed, but I hadn't seen Greg. He was doing a good job of sitting at the back and making sure that nobody fell to the back, and was able to do an attack from there. So just jumping ahead a little bit on this second circuit lap. And somebody's bringing the speed up for sure. I think it might have been Sam, actually. I think he might have done a little attack to try to get people motivated. And then I think Todd, those two rotated, but then once it came back to project, Rich kind of sat up. So it was just great. It just kind of disrupt things again. I kind of realized that Sam is actually somebody that I should watch for the sprint, because Scicluna has been doing a lot of work. Sam just did that, but he hasn't been at the front too much. He shouldn't be at the front because the teams are who's really controlling this. So he might be a little bit more fresh. So I just kind of let him slot in there, and I want to keep an eye on them as well. You can see Greg stayed on Suda. We just all kind of rotate. There's a little bit of gaps here, but Rich is going to close this. So again, I have to work on knowing at what point a breakaway is relatively secure and when I should start making moves as the group kind of slows down and stuff like that. So just trying to keep an eye on that. But we all just kind of make really nice rotation here. Rich was keeping an eye on Suda, but then Greg was there, so I slid over, took Todd's wheel. It's kind of like basketball. It's just fluidly just kind of move around, make sure that you're already always guarding somebody. It's kind of fun. I've never, not being on a team, a big team like this before. It's a new fun way to race. So we got Steve and Larry and Sam's following, and they kind of get to the front here. I let them just go, figuring that they weren't really attacking too hard. So people should be able to just kind of jump on their wheel if they're planning on taking the front. And I think coming through this corner, they actually do get a little bit of a gap, but Greg's right there. And then we got Suda actually kind of sits up, and Rich stays on his wheel, and Todd tries to flip around. So I just stayed on his wheel, and I think Suda and Rich are a little bit behind, but you're going to see shortly that they probably bring up the speed, and he uses that to attack through our group, which again, that's kind of what I need to work on. Just using that momentum. If you're going to do the work to get up to speed, you might as well carry it through. So they actually, and I think because Steve was on the front and he let them go, they actually got a little bit of a gap, but then were brought back around here. And then Rich is actually telling me, hey, this is, on the last lap, let's start just countering them nonstop. And Suda took that opportunity with Rich not paying attention to attack, which was very smart. I'm going to make sure that I'm on Steve's wheel, because at the end of the day, I know that he's got a really strong sprint, and possibly our biggest competition in the sprint. We don't really want to have him sitting behind and no one watching him. So it's pretty strung out here. We got some gaps, and we are coming into the last lap where, again, Rich was saying that once on the last lap, we really got to start attacking them. And I'm on board with that. So he actually goes a little into that final lap. Speed gets picked up. Everybody's sliding over to the left. I've got speed, and all of a sudden they start coasting, and I'm like, this is my opportunity. I'm 27 miles per hour, and I spike it up, and I'm going 32. So last lap attack, and I've got a good gap. I remember looking back, but Suda definitely came after my attack, and pretty soon after this turn, I look back and I see that he's on my wheel. There was a bit of a gap between him, but he actually rolls in front of me, and the group behind that was trying to catch him, we've got let's wait for it, but we got Greg there, and he attacks over, so that was smart. And again, that was just kind of the plan, that Greg, Rich, and I would be attacking. So I don't want to leave Greg out there. I know that he's not much of a sprinter, so I don't want to let Suda and him go, just the two of them. I know Suda's not much of a sprinter either, but I figured I would just bring the speed up, and Greg's still got a bit of a gap here, so it's still on Suda to close that. And then I figure if Rich is behind, maybe he can attack when we things slow up. But we actually get Steve coming through, and then we slide to the back. So this is kind of setting up for the sprint, and unfortunately my camera just died. It had battery, it had card, I don't know what the issue was, but this gap here, Suda closes it, and we kind of go through to the front. So then I'm second wheel, and he just kind of keeps the speed high. And then on the left, Welling and Larry go. I don't remember which went first, but I jump after I see Todd and Sam go. I beat them in the sprint. They went a little early, and Steve beats Larry. So we took, again, 4 out of the top 5, which was awesome. Feel good about it. See you on the next one.